Okay, howdy y'all, how's it going? We are going to be back here with some FF14. Hi, how's everyone doing for your beginning of the week? It is Sunday, right? I've completely lost track of time. Sorry, it's been a very, very busy week. There's been a lot of stuff going on off stream. And in addition to the regular, retail job that we've got going on. So we're going to talk about it quite a bit today. And, I was thinking about FF8 or Little Horizon, but there's just too much going on. I can't concentrate enough to focus on like a story game right now. So we're just going to sit back, grind out some fates, get a couple more of these yokai weapons done. I did figure that with all of the blue mages that we had going around last time, just melting everything, what we're going to do is bard. So this should solve a lot of issues. We'll see how it goes. I don't really know for sure what it's going to be like, since I'm not going to have most of my AoE for most of these fates, but I figured this might help us. Okay, busy day outside. Might help us a little bit with actually, tagging mobs and that kind of thing. But aside from that, hi, welcome back, everybody. Yeah, so the VTuber rigging for VTuber West 2.0 has officially begun. That's kind of why my brain is melted right now and why I haven't had a chance to really stream a whole lot the past couple of days. Tomorrow is also going to be another light day. I've got the actual job I got to worry about. But yeah, it's been a lot of YouTube tutorials and staring at cubism and all of that stuff. It's been going pretty well. I mean, overall, once I learn a couple of the basic mechanics of live 2D cubism, it's really not too bad. I'm used to dealing with FK and IK nodes and meshes and that kind of thing. It's the actual art that is always a problem. Once it's actually time to make it move, I mean, I love that kind of stuff, right? So yeah, it's been very tedious. It's coming along though. We are slowly getting it done. Once I have a couple of other small things here and there worked out, I think it's going to go pretty quickly. It's still not going to be more than a few weeks, right? Once I get the actual rigging done, which honestly, like I said, should not take all that long once I get into a rhythm of it. There's all of the other things that we've got to worry about. I got to get, a new bumper, new opening music, that kind of thing. I'm probably going to end up skipping the whole original song thing. As much as I would really like to do it, I just don't think that I am at where I need to be right now in Ableton to be able to do the kind of music that you guys want and what is kind of expected of me. So we're going to do something just kind of chill for the opening, ending music out and about, and keep it kind of low-key. I've been, watching a couple of other VTubers that have done some guides and that kind of thing, discussing advice for VTubing and that kind of thing. And, they brought up some good points that I kind of agreed with. I think one of them was like Mari Yume, I think, does a lot of like VTuber how-tos and about the VTubing industry and that kind of thing. And yeah, I really liked a few things that she had to say, especially when it came to debuts and that kind of stuff. It's still going to be a pretty traditional debut, going over likes, dislikes, that kind of thing. Obviously talk about my wonderful mama and all of the artwork that went into it. But in terms of, some of the other stuff that's kind of expected of the big VTubers, I'm not Hololive. I'm doing this on my own, on my off days in retail. So there's limits to what I can do and can't do. But, I think opening music should be okay. I want to get some transitions, obviously new logo. It's going to be a pretty, hey, there we go. I didn't need a QB metal. I forgot to switch it up. That's on me. I need, who am I looking at here? There we go. That's on me being dumb. Let's see. Who do I need? I need Vinoct. Yeah. There we go. So yeah, some of this other stuff I think should be just fine. I don't think there's going to be too much of an issue with it. I am excited about getting the new logo and transitions and stuff done. Most of the work on that's going to be in the design of it. Once it's actually time to actually get into After Effects and animate some of it, it should go pretty fast since I'm pretty used to that kind of thing. But, it is just it's work. It takes time. There's only so many hours in the day, as much as I wish that were not the case. So we'll just deal with it as best as we can. But I am very, very excited. You know, it is going to be a pretty complete rebrand of the channel. Now that I will be unchained. You know, we've spent so long with this free model that that being able to animate my character the way that I want and actually have my own character, you know, with my own lore and my own concept and design, I think is going to do a lot for the channel in terms of what we can do, what we can't do. And that's going to be a little bit of what we're going to talk about today. I kind of figured a lot of what we can do today while we're just grinding fates is just kind of talk about VTubing. Kind of talk about the industry, what goes into it. If you guys have any questions, by all means, you know, feel free to ask them in chat, and I will do my best to answer. It's just, you know, one voice in the crowd, right? But yeah, it is going to be a pretty full rebrand, since it is going to be the first time that I've actually been able to do this stuff the way that I want to, right? Now, in terms of the content and all of that, I mean, most of what you guys expect from me here is not really going to change all that much. I'm still going to be me. There's not going to be a big personality shift or anything like that. And I think that's something that Mari was kind of talking about in a couple of their videos as well. You know, I very much try to match the VTuber concept that we're going with and the characters design with the kind of content that you can kind of expect from me. So if you've been a longtime viewer of the channel, you know, there's going to be some new stuff. You know, we will hopefully have some more fun in terms of the types of content that we can do. But in terms of personality and that kind of thing, it's still going to be pretty much me. That's not going to change around all of that much. So, you know, it'll still be Wes. I'll still be here as the BBC period drama of VTubing, right? That's pretty much what you kind of expect now. But, you know, we'll be able to be a little bit more animated. Obviously better thumbnails, new kinds of things that we can do with the content thanks to the upgraded rigging. So yeah, you know, it's going to be different but the same, if that really makes any sense at all. You know, I think that's kind of important. Something that was kind of brought up in a few of the videos that I've been watching. You know, there's always this concern about needing to meet trends and that kind of thing. If you can do it, by all means, you know, I think trends are trends for a particular reason. You know, there's always a lot of discussion about lewd tubers and, you know, that's the easiest way to grow and that kind of thing. And, you know, if you are capable of doing that, like, yeah, chase the trends if you want. But that, you know, comes with the caveat that, yeah, you actually know how to do those things, right? You know, when it comes to my kind of content, like, I don't know. I can't really be a super loud and expressive, you know, fancy Twitch streamer man, right? A lot of it's just because of real life situations that kind of limit how loud I can be in the middle of the night, right? And part of it's just my personality, you know? I'm just not that kind of person. So suddenly switching over to be loud and super reactive to a bunch of things, that's just not something I'm interested in. Could it, you know, potentially help grow the channel? Maybe, but my attempts at doing it would be very bad, right? So you've really got to kind of fit in and try and you've got to be able to try and find your scope, right? Like, what are you capable of doing? What are you comfortable doing? Are you even going to enjoy doing it? I think it is very important that you are actually having fun with it. That's always a very, very big aspect of streaming, because when you're here for several hours a week, right, your viewers can tell if you're having fun. I'm sure there's been more than a few times on my own streams where people have been like, wow, he is really not having a good time with this, right? You know, it's very, very hard to find those things. People think that it's all acting, but with the sheer amount of time that we spend doing this kind of thing, most of the time it is not. You know, there's always going to be cases where, like, you got to do stuff for the content. I think that just kind of comes from any kind of content creation, but it's a lot less exaggerated, I think, than a lot of people think it is, just because of the nature of streaming and how much time is involved, how much how much you've got to give in terms of energy, right? So yeah, you've got to be able to find your own way. You've got to find your niche, right? You know, at the end of the day, everyone is probably trying to chase those Hololive and V Shoujo numbers and that kind of thing, but you've got to remember that that's Hololive and V Shoujo. They have the backing of a major company. They are legit production agencies. So the idea of an independent VTuber being able to do all of the things that they can do, just, it's probably not going to happen. You know, I've said it before, the biggest way to get big in VTubing is to have a really popular friend raid you, right? Like that's just the reality of it. So, you know, don't underestimate how much time and money goes into those big channels, and don't feel so pressured to try and do those things all on your own, right? Like you gotta find your way. You don't want to burn yourself out before you've even really taken off, right? Best thing you can do, and I've said it multiple times in my past Q&A streams, right, is just make the best kind of content that you can. Right? You know, be the best person that you can be. If you're making good content, then people will hear about it. It might not be explosive growth, right? It might not be, you know, 100,000 subs in 3 months, but you know, you'll get those little trickles of growth right then and there. People get a better idea of what kind of content you do and can make, right? And then you can kind of go from there. It's like starting your own business, right? They always say that anytime you want to start your own company, you will probably be losing money for the first 3 years. And yeah, that's if you want to treat this as a business, then you've basically got to kind of go in with that mindset. If you're just doing it for fun, then, you know, do whatever is fun. That's the most important part, right? All right, how are we doing? So I think I need 10 of these, right? Yeah. It's 10. So yeah, so that's kind of the mindset we're going into with the whole channel rebrand. It's going to be still me. It's still going to be same old Wes, but with a lot more options in terms of what we can do, the types of content that we can do. But if you're worried about big personality changes or anything like that, like, don't worry. I'm still gonna be pretty relaxed, pretty chill. And again, that was actually kind of a big portion of the design of the concept too, so it should fit pretty well into that. Now, the accent, I might have to play around and try and clean that up a little bit, but aside from that, it'll still be pretty chill here, so don't worry too much. Okay, so I guess for these, I need to be doing about 50% of the damage to even get one of those mushrooms, huh? All right, well, we'll turn in a couple here. Okay, so we're at 3. Gotcha. Oh. Okay, we got a straggler, got it. Oh, well, I guess we'll turn that in too. And I know that a lot of that advice kind of seems at odd with how much that I've been playing up, how much work is going into this. But you got to remember that I also enjoy doing a lot of this stuff. You know, the rigging and that kind of thing. If it goes well and I end up really enjoying how my model looks and everything, then that's something that, you know, I might potentially open up commissions for one day, right? So, you know, those are new skills that I want to learn, and, you know, the video editing stuff is that's just the kind of thing that I've been doing for 20 years now, so it's not really all that much different. Doesn't mean I'm very good at it, but yeah, I'm at least used to it. So yeah, you know, you got to keep that in mind. With the music stuff, it's a little bit more complicated. That is something that I'm a little more uncertain about, a little less confident in. And it's not that I don't enjoy it, but obviously there's a physicality to playing guitar all day and trying to make drum tracks that's a little bit different than just sitting in Premiere all night and clipping a timeline, right? So yeah, you know, it's gonna be a little bit of give and take. And there's a few things that I had planned for the premiere that are probably not going to make it in, and a few other things that I think are going really well and should be pretty nice and snazzy. You know, the overall goal with this is just to look a little more professional, right? Like, we've been at this a year. I really like VTubing. I like hanging out with everyone here. But I think it's time to, you know, polish up the channel a little bit and kind of show everyone what we're all about. I feel like that's always been kind of a weird spot with the channel, just because of how I started by making guides and then moved on from there. Like, I feel like, you know, if you're just coming into the channel, you might not even know that I'm a VTuber, because the first thing you see are all of my, like, FF14 guides and stuff. So yeah, it's just going to be a little bit of polishing up so that, you know, you can take one look at the channel and hopefully it looks professional and it looks clean and you can tell right off the bat what we're all about here. And yeah, decide for yourself if you want to stick around, right? Okay. Hey, there we go. We made it. Up to the next one. Oh wow, that's like way over there. Ooh, they do have one that's like right here in the middle. We'll go talk to this recruit. But yeah, the new model just looks absolutely fantastic. We did run into the issue. You know, I got into Live 2D and started rigging it, and I realized as I was trying to, you know, mess around with the mouth a little bit and learn a little bit about rigging the mouth, that I did not have a mouth. I had lips, but no mouth. So I'm like trying to email my my mama at like 2 o'clock in the morning, or like right after work. I'm like, this is kind of terrifying. Can you make me a mouth? Here we go. But we ended up getting it done, and I'll be honest, it's no less terrifying now that I have teeth. That's the thing that they don't tell you about VTubing, is how absolutely terrifying a lot of your models are when you really break them down to just the base level of everything. You know, you move your lips when you're rigging, and then it's just tongue and teeth everywhere. And oh god. So we've got it done. Like I said, it's a lot of tutorials. I'm still in kind of the learning phase right now. I know obviously how motion and animation work. It's really a lot of the little tips and tricks, right? Figuring out, you know, little details on how to make masking look a little bit better. Deformers obviously are a very, very big part of Live 2D, so dealing with that to make sure that the perspective looks okay when I start moving around. And little things like, you know, chin lines and stuff. Like, you want it to look like the chin line's kind of disappearing a little bit when you move your face in certain directions. So, you know, little things on how to figure that out. It's really not difficult if you've done any kind of animation, or if you played around in like Blender, or even really SFM. If you played around in Source Filmmaker, you could probably figure out a lot of this stuff too. But it is very tedious and it's very time consuming. I think that's really kind of where we're at, is it's just the time consuming thing. There's just not enough hours in the day. And unfortunately, you know, work is picking back up, and even though there are short shifts, it's still, you know, a day that I have to kind of dedicate to doing the retail thing, right? So we'll just do our best and make our way around as best as possible. That's why I'm saying it's going to probably take a couple of months to get all of this done. Here we go. Yeah, there's just not enough hours of the day. So yeah, if you're excited about the life about West 2.0 and want to see more content, help me escape retail by liking and subscribing to the channel, coming in, hanging out in chat, sharing with your buddies, and hopefully, I've said this a billion times now and we see how well it's gone, hopefully get a little bit better about making clips for the channel, and to do our best to just try and bring eyes in that see me as a VTuber instead of a guide maker. I think that's really where we're at right now. But yeah, you know, that's ultimately what the goal of all of this stuff is. My bar is very low. It's not like I make a lot of money at the retail job, so, you know, if we can hit that bar VTubing, then congratulations, you get me full time. for better or worse, if you were, I guess, into that kind of thing, you can have me here full time, streaming at God knows what hours of the night. Here we go. But I do appreciate everybody that's come in and watched the channel. You know, we have a very dedicated base of VOD watchers here among the channel, and shout out to you guys. I know you can't always make the live streams because my hours are just kind of all over the place, but you know, I definitely notice. I see those kind of things, and I definitely appreciate it. So, you know, shout out to those of you guys in the I guess a lot of you are probably EU, I assume. That's probably why. But yeah, shout out to all of our viewers who can't make it live but still want to support the channel. I definitely appreciate it. I definitely notice those things. So yeah. But aside from that, you know, it's a good time that I've been, aside from watching. I really cannot emphasize enough how many tutorials this has been that I've been watching on how to do this stuff. To be honest, the actual live 2D cubism tutorials that they give you right when they pop up are honestly pretty good. If you really have no idea what you're doing and you're just wanting to get into the free version of Live 2D and give it a shot, those tutorials are really nice kind of jumping off point. Yeah, it's just been a lot, and you kind of need a tutorial. It's just like video editing, I guess, or Photoshop. You kind of need a tutorial for every little thing that you're trying to do. So it's just a lot. You know, they're very good. That's the nice thing about living in the internet age, is that everyone has a tutorial on their channel and they're all really good. So there's a wealth of information out there, and I appreciate everyone that's been making these guides. For those of us that are trying to do this, you know, independently, we definitely appreciate it. So yeah. But we're learning. I'm learning. I'm still a little confused about mouths. Like a lot of the guides that I've been watching, like, have a bunch of mouths on the XY axis, just, you know, at different points. I'm like, how does that all flow smoothly? Right? But it's just another thing I'll have to just get in there and play around with it and see. You know, that's always probably the best way to learn. It's just start messing around until you find something terrifying, like your jaw becoming unhinged and it's just eyes and a mouth staring back at you on the screen. You know, it's a learning experience, one you'll never forget. But that's rigging, baby. But yeah, the art is really good. I really cannot wait to show you guys what this model looks like. If you don't follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky, you know, I mostly post on Blue Sky, but for big updates like, you know, going live and obviously for everything related to the debut, I've been trying to do my best to make sure that you guys on Twitter also see it. But yeah, make sure and follow me on Blue Sky. It's gonna be, it's still at West Source, so it's easy to remember. Oh, they're having issues. Oh, and I have AoE. There we go. Now our power is has grown exponentially. There we go. This is my true form. This is the power of the bard. All right, cool. We're still only at 7? Oh, 8. Okay. But yeah, I have posted a couple of teasers. I will probably, I'm still, you know, going back and forth whether or not I will do a full model debut reveal before the debut, or if we just want to go ahead and get that out of the way so we can focus on the actual, like, hellos and that kind of thing during the re-debut. I don't know. That's probably just going to be something I wake up one day and decide, you know what, let's just go ahead and show off the model, right? But I have posted a couple of teasers there, and it really does look absolutely fantastic. Our mama did a wonderful job, and it has gone way above and beyond what I originally thought this was going to look like. The reference sheet that she's working on also looks amazing. For the first time in my life, I feel hot, which I think is the secret power of most VTubers, right? Yeah, it's just absolutely wonderful. So once we're ready to reveal all of that information, you know, please go and check out our mama. And, you know, if you are a VTuber who is interested in maybe getting a new model done or commissioning some artwork or something like that, you know, make sure and pay attention to that. I will have all of that info in the info tab and about sections of pretty much every one of our media pages. So look forward to it. Please look forward to it. We might do a couple more reveals here and there as we move along. But yeah, they did some wonderful, wonderful work. And now it's just getting the rest of the work done. I mean, do I have a song? I guess I've got some songs. I guess I can sing a little bit. Why not? I think that's the only song I have available, so that's the one we're gonna stick with. Okay. Yeah, but yeah, you know, I know it's been a little tricky. It's one of those situations where I really like streaming, but all of this other stuff, you know, it's got to get done. There's no way to do it but to sit down and do it, right? So yeah, it's been tricky. You know, I want to make sure that we do streams like this occasionally. We might have to put some of the story games on hold for a little bit. I do have quite a few days off this week. So I'm going to try and find one of those days to just not focus as much on rigging and that kind of thing. And, you know, sit down a little bit and play a little more FF8, maybe get a little more Horizon Zero Dawn done, things like that. But I am trying to find, you know, little pieces and slivers of time here and there just to come in and say hi and, you know, check in with y'all to let you know what's going on, give you some updates, and make sure that you know that I'm still alive, more than anything else. So that's kind of what we're doing here. And it's one of those things that, you know, it just kind of comes with the territory of VTubing, right? I've seen that mentioned quite a few times, you know, oh no, you go a week without streaming and you're basically DOA, right? I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think a lot of it also depends on how big of an audience you already have. You know, right now we're very small. We're very small, so I don't think it's really going to hurt all that much if I need to spend a week just to focus on getting some of these backgrounds and stuff done. But, you know, I don't like doing that because I want to make sure that I'm streaming a little bit too, because I like streaming, right? I'm playing most of these games anyways. Why not hang out with y'all at the same time, right? That's really what it comes down to. But you know, looking through some of the other... Oh, this is the biggest Spira, yeah. But I gotta remember how to Bard. It's been a while. It's weird because Bard was my first main. Before I ever moved over to Red Mage and people kind of started watching me for the Red Mage guides, I was a Bard, like way back when I started Heavensward and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of like riding a bicycle. You just gotta get in there and it slowly starts coming back to you to remembering what all your buttons are. I do love Bard. I would probably play it more if I didn't really do so much of my actual streaming content as a Red Mage. There's just really not a good way to switch around. You know, if I'm gonna be streaming a bunch of Savages and stuff, it's a little hard, you know? You can't really switch in the middle of a Savage tier. And I guess you can if you got the gear to do it, but that's even more work, right? I've got other games I gotta stream. But I do really enjoy Bard. I've always kind of described it, if you are unsure what it's like. If you played Affliction Lock in World of Warcraft, it's probably the closest thing to that. Especially when you've got multiple targets going on and you're just constantly, you know, tapping between them, putting the poisons on, spreading the poisons, doing your AoEs. It really does kind of have a lot of the same flow as Affliction Lock did, which is one of the reasons that I like it so much, right? Alright, there we go. But yeah, you know, I'm hoping as we get a little bit closer to the debut, like I said, hopefully bring some more people in here and hopefully, more than anything else, just make sure YouTube knows that I am a VTuber, right? not just kind of throwing me into the algorithm at whatever whims it wants. We're already kind of subject to whatever the algo wants to do anyways, so I want to make sure that I'm trying to Get it to play the way that I want it to play, right? There you go. Okay. But, yeah, as I've said, I'm not big on the numbers. Like, I definitely keep an eye on the analytics to see kind of where we're at, but until the actual re-debut comes around, like, I'm not super concerned about it. And I think that's another kind of important thing that was brought up in a lot of these other how-tos that I've been watching is, you know, focus on the analytics and what to do to grow your channel and that kind of thing. I think you know, there's a lot of misconceptions about a lot of stuff and a lot of bad information going around. It's one of those situations where, you know, everyone's trying to get people to click on their channel, so they give whatever advice sounds good to them, right? And some of it's really good, some of it's really bad. But at the end of the day, all you can do is make the content that you want. If you're a new VTuber, you know, don't focus so much on the numbers. I see people, you know, Blue Sky all the time that are complaining that they didn't have any viewers and that kind of thing, and yeah, there's a lot of things that could go into that on why that might be the case, but anyone that has a one-size-fits-all answer to all of these things is probably a grifter, right? They just want you to click on their advice videos so that they can make money, right? So they say what makes them sound like an expert, even though at the end of the day, the only experts are Google. They're the only ones that really know what's going on. So yeah, you know, you can't focus too much on the numbers. I think it's going to be, you know, important once you reach a certain level. Obviously, if your living situation depends on your YouTube content, then yeah, you probably need to pay attention to things like that. But that is not the majority of people. So, you know, take a lot of that stuff with a grain of salt. And honestly, if you are at that level where your income is entirely from YouTube, you probably know all of this stuff anyways, right? You know what's important and what's not important. Whether or not you tell that to your viewers is a completely separate issue. But yeah, don't worry too much about it. It comes and goes, right? Like, I just remember, you know, when I got myself a little bit, it's bothering me. The OCD is bothering me that I'm slightly off center from my chat box. But yeah, you know, just as kind of an example, right? Like, I am not a very big lewd tuber. You guys know that. I've tried making some lewd jokes here and there on the channel, and it always comes out awkward. We'll never really be able to do like the BFE, you know, type of content that I think some of the really big male VTubers are kind of known for. It's not something I know how to do. It's not something I'm really super interested in, and it's not something that is it's not me, right? Like, I'm a workaholic. Right now I am focused on moving out and getting back into a decent living situation and being able to live my life. That's kind of what I'm focused on. So you know, whenever it was a live cam streamer, there would be people that would come into the channel because they liked how I looked, to say the least, right? And you know, they thought I was hot or something, but you know, cool, right? But I don't know what exactly you expect out of this. Like, I don't do long distance in the first place, and I sure as hell know you're not moving to the Midwest where I'm at. So like, where do you think this is going, right? So yeah, you know, people make a lot of assumptions based on how you look or their own expectations of what they want you to act like, right? And at a certain point, you know, whenever I made it very clear that that's not the type of content that I do and that I'm not interested in any of that, you know, I ended up losing some subs. You know, it happened. You know, people wanted the lewd content and they wanted me to meet their expectations of being a tall, scrawny kind of guy, right? And when I didn't meet those expectations, they were like, all right, well, peace, right? And you know what? I'm fine with that. You know, you build the kind of audience that you want. It all comes down to that content, right? Your content and what you accept in the chat and what you want to make determines the kind of viewers that you're going to get. So, wow, do we really... What am I missing? I need a Vinoct medal. Oh, there we go. It's like, where in the world is this thing, right? So, like, yeah. You might, if you're trying to do a rebrand or something like that, or you're just doing new VTuber stuff, I think you're going to... Yay, there we go. I think there is a situation where you're going to want to try to do whatever sounds like is going to make you the most viewers at the time. Right? You're just focused entirely on those numbers and entirely on the growth, right? And if that's not the kind of stuff that you actually genuinely enjoy doing or are good at, or, you know, all kinds of different situations, or maybe you just want to change later, that's going to, I think, hurt you in the long run, is trying to cater to that crowd, because that's what the crowd is eventually going to join your channel for, right? So it's better to just come right off out of the gate, I think, to let people know what you're all about, instead of, you know, trying to fit a mold of what other VTubers are doing, right? You know, it's one of those situations that kind of made me rethink. Okay, US Apion. Okay, so it was one of those pieces of advice that I heard that, you know, really kind of made me rethink about the debut, right? You know, the original song, I think, is probably the best thing. Like, you guys know I play guitar, and we're going to be doing a little bit of guitar stuff, I think, for the debut. But, you know, having an original song, that is a lot of work. That is a lot of work, right? And if you are a big-time VTuber or working for one of these big agencies, that's kind of the expectations. You know, people think that if you're going to be a big VTuber, you need to have those... You need to have that original song. But, like, you guys know that I do a lot of guitar stuff, but I don't really do karaoke streams. Like, I don't think I've ever really sang on the stream before, right? Okay, so we're going to Outer Lenosha. Got it. So, like, I don't want to set the expectations that, like, a whole lot of karaoke and original songs are going to be happening on this channel. And again, don't forget that a lot of these really massive VTubers, either they had, you know, pretty popular friends that were doing this to help them, or they were backed by a company that helped them pay for it. Like, it's like an original song, if you know how to do Ableton, that is not cheap. I mean, you're talking in the realm of, depending on the song, thousands of dollars. If it's an English song, good luck. Like, good luck paying for that. So you've really kind of got to set expectations. Like, you could spend all of that money as an independent VTuber to make an original song and make sure that you're doing the actual, you know, big VTuber debut kind of thing. But what are you going to do when it turns out that you didn't pay for the rights to that English song and the rights are $100,000, right? So, you know, you spend all of that time and money for a video that isn't even allowed to be monetized, right? So that's one of those situations where I was just kind of thinking, you know, I'm not comfortable enough in Ableton yet, and I'm not really entirely sure what we're going to accomplish with a lot of this stuff. I would rather spend a little bit more time learning and hold off on doing those big original covers until I can do them entirely by myself. Because then if I do it by myself and, you know, lay those drum tracks and do all the Ableton mixing and all of that stuff, then I'm out no money, and I don't care if it's demonetized. But I obviously don't want to try and pour a lot of resources and funds into doing a big polished production that is neither the type of content that I normally do on the channel or would really get a whole lot out of because of YouTube's DMCA policies, right? So you've really just kind of gotta, you've gotta kind of keep that kind of stuff in mind, right? Like, just because you see VShojo or Hololive doing something, as an independent VTuber, don't feel like you're beholden to doing those kind of things. Because again, that's why they're big agencies and big time VTubers, and we are just small little 1,400 sub indies, right? you know, at a certain point, you do got to spend money to make money. I see a lot of people say that, like, oh, the model doesn't matter. You know, it's really for the personalities. But let's be real here, guys. I think the model matters quite a bit. It's why I wanted to keep searching far and wide to try and find a model that fits the kind of stuff that I want to do and looks a little more professional. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I know that there have definitely been VTubers that, let's just say, have moved on from their previous positions, and I did not follow them to their new positions, either because they were switching up the types of content they wanted too much, that I liked too much, or because their model just didn't feel the same, right? If they even kept a model in general, right? Maybe I'm in the minority of that, but I mean, it definitely happens. So for me, I thought the model was very important. There's I feel like a lot of stuff that I can't do with my model right now. As good as it is, you know, if you are wanting to try VTubing, I feel like a model like this, just free off a booth, is a great way to start. You know, to learn how to do this kind of stuff, and if you even enjoy it, right? But to take it to the next level, yeah, I think the model is fairly important. You know, you will always find a few people here and there that are able to do things without needing a big model. Like, there's a googly-eyed rock VTuber out there, right? So, you know, you can do it if you've got a really good personality or some kind of really, really unique kind of content. But I would say that that is probably the very rare exception. Okay, there we go. And it doesn't mean you need to go out and spend $8,000 on a model by any means. Like, I was very lucky. My mama was very much within my budget, and I have talked about not really having a budget several times over the course of the past few months, right? So you can definitely find great artists out there that are not going to, you know, you don't need to take out a loan at the bank to hire them, right? But I think you do need to consider your model and the quality of it quite a bit. So here, I guess. Oh, is this the box one? I'm gonna have to go around and pick up a bunch of boxes. Oh, this is the escort one. Okay. There we go. Kind of wild that there's really not a big death ball roaming around down here. I thought there would be pretty much everyone at all of the major sites right now, but I guess that's not the case. So here we are. Yeah, this is the box one. Okay, that's fine. Here we go. All right, but you know, tying back into the model discussion, you know, I think the best advice that I have ever heard, and this is actually not advice that I heard about VTubing, it's about my writing, right? Is you got to make the kind of content that you would enjoy watching. Like, that's ultimately what it comes down to, is, you know, you got to think about the kind of stuff that you like and you want to do, and use that as the basis for your content, right? So, you know, whenever I'm saying a lot of this stuff about, you know, oh, you have to have a good model or that kind of thing, like I said, I don't think you need to go out and spend several $1,000s on it. But I do think you need to consider model quality. And I'm just speaking not just as a VTuber myself, but as a fan. I mean, I watch more VTubers at this point than I do regular television, so I can only speak to the kind of content that I enjoy watching. And for me personally, the model is very much a big part of it. Like, I doubt even my Oshi, if they ever graduated and went back to an old character or something like that, as much as I have watched them over the years, I can't genuinely say that I would necessarily end up watching them if they switched it up, because the model is a big part of why I ended up falling in love with them, right? So you've got to kind of, you know, think about your own situation at hand, right? Now, if you are someone that doesn't care all that much, if you do watch someone for their personality over their model, then, you know, you might have a different perspective on it, and maybe have different priorities in terms of what you want to do as a VTuber. And I think, you know, again, that comes down to make the kind of content that you want. You know, not all of this advice might be relevant to you because you're wanting to do very different things than I do. Obviously, no one's watching me for the personality, right? We're basically an NPR broadcast here, just talking about VTubers. So yeah, you know, you gotta try to take things into consideration. If you're someone that actually enjoys like LewdTube content and you enjoy doing it, then obviously you're gonna have a very, very different perspective on that kind of stuff than I would. So I can only really talk about, you know, what's going on with our channel in the future in terms of what I like and what I'm trying to do. But it might be very different for other people. So you got to kind of keep that in mind. I've said it before, but there's no one answer to any of this. If there was one real objective answer, everyone would be doing it. But honestly, we're all just kind of winging it and trying our best. Is there another box that I've missed somewhere? Where? Where's the last box? Oh, the matriarch. That's right. There we go. Oh yeah, and I need my Choco Buddy out. Where are you, Taylor Swift? There we go. I knew she was around somewhere. Oh. Alright. But yeah, you know, I'm just trying to keep an ear to the ground in terms of what people are saying, what kind of content people enjoy, what people expect to see, and just kind of what's going on in VTubing in general. You know, I think at this point, obviously VTubing is not going to be going away anytime soon. VTubing is here to stay, but I think we kind of have reached a point where I'd say it's plateaued a little bit, right? Like, I think the people that are really, really big right now were kind of the trendsetters, right? Like HoloLive and Miko and Iron Mouse, right? Like they were in early. They kind of kicked everything off. They're not going anywhere. And, you know, at this point, the rest of us are just trying to make our way through a very, very crowded field. So a lot of the context is kind of within that. But it's just like, you know, when I lived out in Hollywood, there's really no one answer to making it big. A lot of it's just blind luck at a certain point. Hey, we finally have a buddy here. Perfect. Let's do this. Let's get this out of the way here. Okay. I don't know why it took so long for everybody to join in. Nice to see you. Where were you the past few fates? I guess we're going in and doing the one in there. I don't really see a whole lot of other options. Man, do I really only have one coin so far? Having any luck, huh? But yeah, like I was saying, I'm just trying to fit keep my ear to the ground in terms of a lot of this stuff and just make sure that I see what's going on with the VTuber news. Now that we kind of hit that point of a certain saturation in the market, right? I will say that I think there are a couple of things that kind of go with almost without saying. One of them is, you know, you gotta be engaging. You gotta have fun actually talking on stream and making sure that, you know, you're having fun with the games that you play. I think at this point, you know, as chill and relaxed as we are, I think at this point, I think most people can kind of tell that, like, I really have no problem chatting and talking with you guys on stream, and I genuinely enjoy it, right? So yeah, you don't want to be someone that's just sitting there quiet, just watching the game go by. You want to be able to, you know, keep talking. I think that's a pretty solid piece of advice, no matter what type of content that you're interested in. I feel like not being super negative and down on yourself all the time is really important. I see that a lot with other VTubers, and it's not just the kind of content that you do on stream either. It's the kind of social media posts that you make, because, you know, obviously a lot of the people that might follow your channel might want to see the kind of memes and stuff that you're posting on Blue Sky or Twitter, right? So you want to make sure that you're not just constantly being a downer, right? Like it's something people notice, and like it just kind of drags everyone down, right? Like people are here for entertainment. We want to make sure that we are entertaining as best as we can. So, you know, don't be constantly negative. And some of it also applies to other aspects of streaming. You know, you don't want to be constantly talking smack about other VTubers or the industry or a certain game or a certain gaming company or anything like that. You know, I can tend to be a little bit negative when it comes to certain game companies and certain games. But a large part of that, I think, is also because I was a journalist before I started becoming a VTuber. You know, I talk about the writing a lot. The whole reason I started fiction writing is because I did a lot of news writing beforehand. I was like, man, I don't want to move to something else. So I think a lot of my channel, you know, we're not afraid to have those kind of little bit more serious discussions when it comes to the gaming industry than other VTubers. I think that's kind of almost an important position for our channel. So, you know, I'm willing to be a little bit more negative about certain aspects of the gaming industry and gaming companies than I think most people should be in general. I guess is the best way to put it. Let's just say I'm a trained professional. So if you are not a trained professional, please kind of keep this in mind, because you are probably going to have to rely on some of those companies to help you actually make content in the future. Just throwing that out there, right? You there. But even then, I would like to say that I try and look at things from a more informational and news perspective than just outright negativity. I think there is a big difference in that too. You can kind of tell when someone's just mad about a game, right? Or mad about a company, and it kind of affects everything else that they're doing. There we go. And I would hope that we are able to avoid that here on this channel. I feel like we've done all right, you know. I mauled a little bit as much as any other gamer, I guess. But I would like to say that we don't get super negative. You know, as much as I meme on FF8, being probably my least favorite FF so far, if I wasn't having fun with it, I probably wouldn't still be doing this whole project. At the end of the day, it's still a Final Fantasy. It's still better than like 90% of the games out there. So, you know, don't get too mad if I'm kind of memeing on FF8 a little bit. I'm still having a good time. At this point, I'm just having trouble finding time to stream it, since, you know, it is still very much a story game, and we've got to figure out enough time to actually get those done, right? So yeah, I think that's a very, very big one. Is, you know, don't be so down all the time. Don't be so down on yourself. I see that a lot among smaller indies on a lot of social media sites. You know, things happen in real life, and it's going to affect the streams at a certain point. And I think it is important to kind of be honest and let your fans know a little bit about what's going on, right? But, you know, you also don't want to be super open about a lot of that stuff. Like, you need to be able to keep your private life private at a certain point too. So yeah, you know, things happen, and it's not always happy. But, you know, you gotta kind of thread the needle there in terms of, you know, how much do you really want to, you know, let your viewers know? How much are you going to talk about this kind of stuff, right? Personally, you know, I love my viewers, and I love what we do here on the channel, but again, I don't know any of you in real life. So we got to be real careful about that boundary, right? So as much as, you know, I will always meme on retail, because the retail industry in the US is something that needs to be memed on, right? But, you know, if some actual things are going down, like, I'll let you guys know what's up in terms of if it's going to affect the streams. But yeah, I gotta keep certain things private, right? And that's just, I think, a good measure of distance for anyone that is trying to enter content creation and just the entertainment industry in general, right? I think that's something, you know, the more I think about it, I think that is something that is probably where a lot of indie VTubers struggle. Because let's face it, a lot of indie VTubers, and just a lot of indie content creators in general, a little bit younger, not as much experience. And even if they are a little bit older and have a lot of work experience, they probably don't necessarily have a lot of work experience in the entertainment industry, right? And that's I think where a lot of people kind of underestimate things a little bit. The entertainment industry is hard. Like, I worked there for many, many years. It is not an easy industry. It is the kind of industry that absolutely grinds you up and spits you out and forgets about you the next day. If you are not prepared for that, if you don't know how to deal with those kind of situations, you know, at a certain point, you're going to have to kind of determine whether or not doing entertainment stuff is even for you, right? Like, for me, I love it. You know, as hard and as difficult as it is, I love producing content. I really do. I love telling stories. I love making videos. I love entertaining people. And, you know, if some punches come my way, I guess, you know, I've learned how to deal with it over the years. Right? I think that is probably the hardest thing about the industry, that is where a lot of people kind of trip and fall, is just knowing how to deal with either the criticism or negativity that comes your way as a result of just being an entertainer. It is not easy, you know, unless you grew up as a theater kid and kind of have immersed yourself in that for most of your life. It's not an easy thing to learn at all. But, you know, I have learned how to deal with it. So, you know, if there's a little bit of negativity or I have a drop in subscribers or something like that, it's just kind of like, okay, that's fine, whatever. I might look at it and try and figure out, okay, you know, how can I improve on this, or what went wrong in this situation, that kind of thing. But it's usually a fairly objective approach, right? Oh, those are Kobold Quest things, okay. But like, I try not to let it actually get to me, and I specifically don't let it leak out into the streams, right, as best as I can. There's always, again, I'm still a gamer, there's always going to be moments of mold. Embrace the mold. But yeah, you know, it's something you really gotta kind of figure out if it's something you were able to do, right? It does take a lot of mental energy to be in this industry, just across the field. So yeah, you know, that's another big another big case of it. But, you know, that's why we've been here a while. That's why we've been doing this for, yeah, I guess 2 years. I guess, yeah, we've been doing the actual live stream thing, like, regularly for 2 years at this point, I guess. Right, so we've learned a few things here and there and can kind of put that towards other things. You know, you can't really expect to learn a lot of these things just right off the bat. Or maybe you do, in which case, what kind of content are you doing, man? It's making people so upset. But yeah, it's something that just kind of comes with time. Now, if you can weather that storm those first couple of years and learn kind of how to deal with those situations, it gets easier as time goes on. So that's a little bit of solace, I guess. There we go. And then there's just the technical things. All the technical things they don't tell you about. That's a whole other situation. I'll be at this 15 years and still not know how to truly do sound. It's just it's my Achilles heel. It's just what it comes down to, sound mixing. But, you know, I saw someone the other day was asking on Blue Sky, why do so many VTubers have their model in the lower right, right? Like, there's small things like that you don't really think about until someone actually asks you the question, right? So you got to kind of learn how to deal with some of the technical things like that. The answer to that, by the way, is a couple of different reasons. A lot of it's because of the camera placement on my webcam. So, like, when I'm looking at my monitor, it just kind of naturally makes me look in that direction. It makes me look, yeah, it makes me look over here, right? It makes me makes me look over to the left. Well, your left. But, so yeah, it just kind of naturally makes it look like I'm looking at the game, right? But there's also just the other thing is that a lot of the games that a lot of VTubers play, including myself, the lower right is just less important to the UI. You know, I think a good game, every element of the UI is really important, right? But aspects that are important to you as a player versus what the audience cares about seeing is very different. And I feel like a lot of the stuff that goes down into the lower right tends to be a little less important to the viewers. I think Elden Ring was probably a really good example of that, and probably Monster Hunter World too. You know, the lower left is where a lot of your loadout and kit is, or your item usage stuff, you know, that kind of thing. And audiences want to see that typically. But the lower right, like no one really cares about what's going on in the lower right. You might as the player, but as a viewer, it's just kind of like whatever. Like if we want to know what weapon you're carrying, like we just look at your model, right? Like that's all we need to see. But you know, it does change. Obviously, right here in FF14, the chat box is kind of a natural place for your model, so it makes it really easy to just kind of move down here. But yeah, there's little things like that too. You know, there's kind of a method to the madness of everything that we do. I don't think that I really had freer placement when I was a live cam streamer. Like that was something that the person asking this question had brought up, is like, you know, I feel like live cam placement is a little bit freer, and it's like I don't really think so, because you know, I was limited to my big old box that I had. And wherever I do, what's going on here? Okay, there we go. I had like a, you know, my little box that I had to figure out where to put it on this stream. Like maybe it's a little different if you got a green screen and chroma key yourself out, but you still have your big gamer chair and all of that, right? I feel like a VTuber placement, you can kind of move wherever you want, and it's a little bit more open. I think the lower right is just because it's a little bit more of a natural spot for the kind of games that we're usually playing. But, you know, we move around a lot here on this channel. Our live watch-alongs are kind of where we're at now. Obviously, we got FF14 here, which is right here. Racing games and fighting games are going to be probably a little bit more in the middle. Elite Dangerous is kind of wherever, right? I definitely feel like I've got more options as a VTuber than I did as a live cam streamer, which kind of circles back around to the whole purpose of why I became a VTuber in the first place, right? And so we have those kind of options. Okay. Probably one more wave coming in. Still have that. Oh, no, the other person left. Okay. Could have stayed with us. You could have stayed with us, man. Well, they had other places to be, I suppose. Oh, wait, no, there they are. I want to make sure that they're getting their hits in. I'm assuming they are. They're a Reaper, so they should be able to AoE okay. I don't want to become the blue mage that I was, the blue mages I was molding about, right? We want to make sure that everyone's getting their opportunities to get their targets locked. And I feel like the drop rate here is so much lower. I don't know what's going on with it. We're still only at 5 medals. Some of it's probably because they're a little bit farther away too. Once we move over here, we get like a nice string of them. Getting over there is a little bit tricky. It's a big zone. You know, I don't really remember spending a ton of time in Camp Overlook. There were a couple quests that sent us over this way. And once we're out of there, that's really about it. We meet old Koubou again. All right, back to the old boxes. Okay, there we go. All right, but yeah, if you guys have any other questions about VTubing or just stream content in general, that's kind of what we're doing today. I thought that it would be a lot faster getting this second weapon down. But yeah, I don't know. It's My brain is kind of mush after the past couple of days between the retail job and learning the rigging and stuff. I'm having a lot of fun with it, but yeah, it's a lot to focus on at any given time. You know, it's kind of the same way when I was writing, right? Like, it takes a lot of mental energy to do those kind of things. Like, writing 2,000 words a day, like, I feel exhausted after that. As much, if not more, as I would feel after you know, a full shift at the retail job. But it's a different kind of exhaustion, right? Like, it's not a physical exhaustion. Sometimes it is, because I've been sitting in my seat all day and I, you know, need to move up, get up and move around a little bit, right? But it's very much the kind of exhaustion where you're just like, okay, I just really don't want to do anything else the rest of the day, but just kind of sit and turn my brain up and watch Netflix, you know, watch some K-dramas for a little bit. It is very, very different, but it is very exhausting in that respect, right? I'm having fun with it. I know that once I actually get in here and start getting into the rhythm of it, you know, later on this week, once I've got a few days off, we're going to be hitting some of those days where I'm just, you know, going 14, 16 hours, forgetting to eat, not really wanting to sleep. I'll get into that rhythm eventually. But you know, the tutorials and that kind of thing is the slow part of it all. Okay, this toolbox is not wanting to go down. There we go. It's nice to get back into a little FF14 though. I feel like this Yokai event is just a very, very good event for the kinds of content that we're going to be doing for the next probably couple of months. Just trying to juggle all of these other tasks, these other creative tasks in the meantime, right? Like, am I thinking about what's going on right now? No, not really. I'm just beating up this toolbox, man. I don't really need to think about anything else. Just give me these medallions. That's all I'm really worried about. You just cruise control it. I have thought about maybe doing some of those truck sim games. I tried doing Euro Truck Simulator like once, and I just could not get the controls to work. I don't know if it was just whatever was going on with my with my controller at the time, with maybe needing to recalibrate it or something, but I just could not figure it out. But I feel like I would really like the truck sim games. I don't think I've got American Truck Sim. I would like to give it a shot. Apparently they're adding My State soon as DLC, which we will definitely need to play that. But yeah, I feel like it's another one of those games that's just kind of a nice, chill kind of Zatsu game. Which that's another good bit of advice. I feel like just kind of VTubing in general. You know, I know there are VTubers that just focus on just karaoke and music and that kind of stuff. So again, it kind of depends if this applies to you at all. But if you are... Oh man, we're good. But if you are, you know, a gaming VTuber and, you know, just kind of doing the variety kind of content like we do here, I would say try and find a couple of games that kind of act as an anchor, right? Like the kind of games that you don't really necessarily have to think about all the time, but you can still be playing something while you have, you know, kind of a Zatsu stream going on, like what we've got going on right now, right? Like I know the default for a lot of players is probably Minecraft. Minecraft is like the ultimate Zatsu game because you can get a lot of stuff done in it while also talking to your viewers. For me, it's FF14. But, you know, if you don't like either of those games, you know, try and find that game that is your anchor. That lets you interact and have some fun while also doing all kinds of other content. Like, I would like to do just regular old Zatsu games. We don't really have an audience big enough for it, right? Like, a lot of my viewers come from VOD, so we don't really have a whole lot of people actually talking in chat while I am actually live. So it's a little bit trickier to do actual Zatsu streams. Hopefully, you know, if all goes well, that will change after we do the 2.0 debut. Which again, like and subscribe so you can see when that goes live, because that's something we're gonna schedule out a while, right? But yeah, Yeah, you got to kind of think of those things. I've always liked the advice of make sure that you have a couple of topics ready to go. I feel like I talked about this the last time I did a VTuber Q&A too, is the topics thing, because there are always a lot of questions about people asking how you do this, how you stay active and engaging the entire time. Yeah, I think having topics is always kind of a good idea. You know, there's always going to be times where you just want a guerrilla stream, and that's fine too. In those kind of situations, you know, you kind of need to know how to vamp a little bit and talk about whatever's on your mind. It's kind of a meme nowadays, right? The intrusive thoughts. You gotta know how to let those flow freely, which is not always like a super obvious skill. Being able to just say whatever's on your mind is not something that comes naturally to everyone. It's as natural as it seems on other VTubers. It's something that takes a little bit of practice for some people. But yeah, you know, you gotta figure out how to kind of do it there. You can kind of ease into those things. But I think if you are doing just kind of the guerrilla streams without a whole lot of topics in hand, I kind of feel like they're probably games that you enjoy enough. You can probably talk about them just on their own anyways, right? There you go. I've always said, you know, if all else fails, just talk about whatever's going on in the game. It's always an easy way to do it. Alright, so we've got a couple people here that have joined. That's good. We're not alone anymore. For now. 3 people can burn through these things pretty fast. If I can remember how to get over there. I always get lost in these tunnels. Like this back half over here. Little scary. Here we go. Wait, did I not? There we go. It's a shame my songs don't reset their timer once we're done. That'd be nice. Not gonna lie, I'd kind of like that a little bit. I'm very clearly going into some fates that I am way too strong for. But yeah, you know, just give me my songs back. Not like I stopped learning how to sing. Although granted, after not VTubing for a while, you can definitely feel it in your voice. That's something that a lot of people I don't think talk about enough until something bad actually happens, is learning how to train your voice a little bit, you know. Ease into it. You know, if you've been streaming a while and are just making the switch over to VTubing content, yeah, you're probably fine. But if you're brand new to streaming content, like for the love of everything, please do not just like jump into it. You know, you gotta ease your voice into it. You absolutely can damage your voice after a while if you are not used to doing it and knowing how to talk for hours at a time. I think that is something that isn't talked about enough and is also severely underestimated by a lot of VTubers. You know, yes, if you do want to be a streamer and a content creator, like, you have to create content, right? Like, you have to talk a lot. You have to talk for oftentimes hours at a time. But you don't want to jump right into it and do, you know, 7-8 hour streams unless that is already part of your normal job, right? Like, even at my retail job, on a busy day, I'm not talking the entire time. In fact, it's kind of just saying the same things every single time. And lots of moments of pause between it because it's retail and I want to interact with people as little as possible. Right? So, you know, I would say I'm talking significantly more when I'm streaming than when I'm actually in my customer service job. And if you've ever worked customer service, you know that's saying something. That is saying a lot, right? So, you know, don't underestimate how much you're going to be talking. Ease into it. Do some test streams. Start out doing a couple of hours at a time and see how that goes. And then, you know, don't forget to take your rest. That's why we say hydrate so much, is, you know, you want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. But it's also take care of your voice. Oh man, are we back at it again? A third one? Oh boy. And that's especially true if you are one of those very loud VTubers, right? You're one of those very loud and very reactive types of content creators. You know, you will absolutely destroy your voice if you're not careful doing that stuff. So, you know, make sure you know what you're doing. I know it was always kind of a meme among the really big otakus, right? Like, oh, I'm gonna become a voice artist. I'm so good at this, right? Yeah. Good luck with that. I have worked with and am friends with a couple of actual voice actors, a couple of whom you have probably heard in a few games and television shows before, and I can tell you, like, straight up from seeing them work firsthand, your voice is not ready for the kind of stuff that they are doing. Like, just full stop. It is not. So ease into it, please. Please make sure you're doing things correctly. Yep. I know that sounds like kind of obvious advice. I feel like it's something that should really go without saying. But I feel like a lot of people are really good at hearing that advice, but when it comes time to actually follow it themselves, or especially learning how to follow it correctly, it starts to go in one ear out the other, right? It's always talking about the other VTubers. Not me, I'm different. You know, shout out to the other guys that thought that they could beat up God, but, you know, I'm different. I'm built different. I could do it. All right. There we go. In fact, if we don't start getting... don't get our last medal here pretty soon, I'm gonna be, Hey, there we go. There we go. I was about ready to say, if we don't get our last medal soon, I'm gonna have to start ignoring my own advice, I guess. I'm a feeling it. Alright. So yeah, that was basically, you know, the stream and update for today. Just kind of letting you guys know what's up. We do have, like, 3 or 4 days off later this week, so we will have some opportunity, some ample opportunity to actually catch up on some bigger streams here in the future. To kind of keep an eye out, you know, again, like, subscribe. I don't know why I went there. I already did that today. So yeah, you know, make sure to follow the channel. Keep an eye up on Blue Sky so you can see what the updates are going to be like. But yeah, I think my voice is telling me, hey, it's probably about time to go ahead and give it a rest for a little bit now that we've gotten 2 weapons. I feel like 2 weapons a stream is like a decent goal for this Yokai event. So you're not losing your mind the rest of the time. Those are kind of cool, though. I do like those. Balloon Fist, yeah. Maybe I'll get rid of all of this other stuff. I need you. I don't even know where I'm at on the kobold where I'm at on the kobold tribe quest, right? It's fine. There we go. Another one checked off the old list. But yeah, I mean, anyone have, yeah, we can still hang out for a little bit. I think we're probably done with weapon collecting, but anyone have any other questions about, you know, VTubing or content creation, or I don't know, talk about the new model or anything? Because otherwise, I think this might be about it for tonight. But you know, if people have other questions, I want to make sure that I'm answering them too. Again, just one lone VTuber's perspective out of many, but if I can at least give you some direction on where to go to maybe continue your learning, continue young apprentice, right? You know, hopefully that helps out a little bit. No, maybe not. All right, well, if fun Sunday night. I don't know. It is a kind of a lazy Sunday night, isn't it? Like, it's storming, it's moving in, it's lightning out a lot. It's just, yeah. After staring at Cubism, it just felt like, it feels like summer already. It just already feels like one of those very muggy, just very lazy summer nights where you just don't really want to, like, have to concentrate on anything at all. So you know what? Thankfully, Yokai is here for us to continue content without actually having to think. This, my friends, is brains off content right here. This is what it's like to ramble for an hour and a half. Oh, man. But, you know, it happens. I had fun. I hope you had fun too, and hopefully learned a little bit. Well, if no one has any other questions, we're gonna go ahead and call it here for tonight. Again, tomorrow gonna be a day off, and you know, streams are going to be lighter for the foreseeable future. Instead of doing 3 or 4 a week, we might be cutting it down to about 2. But again, it's for a good cause. We are rigging. I am in live 2D cubism, trying to get this new model done, and some backgrounds and all kinds of other stuff. So we are well on our way. I really cannot wait to show you this model. It's so good. It looks so good. But yeah, that being said, take care, everybody. Have a good rest of your Sunday night. Have a good start to your week. I know it's a Monday, and we all hate Mondays, as the sage Garfield once said, but we'll get through it together. Take care, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your night. Bye-bye.